Welcome back. Federal agents arriving in Memphis, Tennessee this week as President Trump's Memphis Safe Task Force begins its operation. 200 National Guard troops will also head to Portland, Oregon to help protect federal immigration facilities against domestic terrorists and radical leftists who are causing chaos. It all follows an attack on an ICE facility in Dallas where one detainee was killed and 2 others were injured. Oregon now suing the Trump administration over its plans to deploy troops to keep citizens safe. Meanwhile, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker claims the DHS is asking to deploy 100 troops to the state to protect ICE facilities, and Pritzker is calling the move unconstitutional and politically motivated. Joining me now is former Trump official Katie Miller. Katie, great to see you. Welcome to the program.
Nice to see you, Maria. Good to be here.
And you worked at DHS during the first Trump administration. What's your take on the president's crime crackdown and the Democrats' response to it?
These are the same Democrats who support cashless bail, who support sanctuary cities, who support murderers still running free on the streets of Washington, D.C. that President Trump has now made safe. President Trump has made it clear that a government's core tenet is keeping its citizens safe, and that's what he's doing. From Washington, D.C. to Chicago, Illinois, to Dallas to protect our law enforcement officers who are doing the job that Congress has charged them with doing, which is removing illegal aliens from our streets. These are the same people, by the way, Gavin Newsom, who is demonizing our ICE officers who are, again, doing the job that Congress has charged them to do. President Trump made a promise to the American people that we were going to remove as many illegal aliens as possible, and we should raise those people up who do the job as heroes and not demonize them. I'm glad to see federal officials go into Memphis, Tennessee. It is the largest city in Tennessee and one of the most dangerous in our country. People, again, should be able to live in their city and be free to be able to walk the streets without fear of being shot. Memphis is a great city that has tremendous business implications. So many companies are coming into Memphis to make it a better place for its citizens to, again, create jobs. And the first thing we need to do is ensure it's safe for those companies to come in and invest money right here in our country, which is what President Trump is asking them to do by enforcing tariffs on the rest of the world.
Yeah, I mean, it was Kash Patel who told us, earlier in the year when I interviewed him in March, that Memphis, Tennessee is the homicide capital of the country. Insanity. Who knew that? And why? And now President Trump's trying to help, and you're getting this pushback. You think this is just fight Trump? Whatever President Trump says, go against it. Is that the Democrats' last bit at relevancy here?
It definitely is their last bit at relevancy, right? You're seeing that today with the government, with the looming government shutdown, is that Democrats need the ability to fight Donald Trump wherever he is, because, again, what you're seeing is their poll numbers crashing and President Trump's continually rising, right? Yeah. The Republican Party has never been so popular. We have never delivered on more promises to the American people. President Trump has delivered on every single parts of his platform from the GOP convention last summer. And you know what? What do Democrats have left except protesting him, because that's where they think their numbers are going to rise, right? That is how the legacy media like CNN is trying to get their viewers back, by just fighting Donald Trump. And it has to stop at a certain point, because the American people want to see government work for them. It wants to see their city safe. It wants to see their streets safe. Memphis is a great place to start. Mayor Young, I think thus far, has been incredibly cooperative, unlike Governor Pritzker in Illinois, who, again, is saying that we can't protect our own ICE officers. Why is he condoning the violence against ICE officials? Because that's what he's doing. He is condoning the violence against federal law enforcement. That should not be what our elected leaders stand for, Maria.
Really, really disturbing, Katie, especially since some of them are still throwing around words like fascist and, Nazi. I mean, no matter the fact that President Trump saw 2 assassination attempts, Charlie Kirk lost his life over this. It's just outrageous. You mentioned the shutdown. Vice President J.D. Vance spoke out about it, signaling that the government will likely shut down tonight, just after midnight. Democrats are refusing to support the Republican CR without adding hundreds of billions of dollars in health care spending. I believe it's actually $1 trillion in health care spending. We've got this vote today that we'll be watching in the afternoon on the House-passed bill to keep the government funded into November. But the Senate rejected plans from both Republicans and Democrats earlier this month. What's your take on how this plays out and how significant these job cuts will be, Katie? The White House keeps reminding us that, look, government shuts down, there'll be mass layoffs.
I think nobody wants to see a government shutdown. But if you go back, all these Democrats supported the CR in March. This is the same CR. Let's not forget that what they're adding here is just saying, oh, let's go back and expand Obamacare now. That isn't what we voted for, quite frankly, in March. And so why is that? They want to expand health care for illegal aliens. Again, this is another case where they are again putting illegal aliens ahead of the American people, because that's what they're doing here by grandstanding. They just, again, need to fight Trump at every single turn instead of actually serving their constituents and serving the American people. Quite frankly, the American people deserve better, and we can't just sit here and watch the government shut down just because the Democrats want to give health care to illegal aliens, because that's what they're standing on. This is the exact same bill that they voted for in March. What has changed? Just their poll numbers.
Unbelievable. Yeah, the poll numbers is a good point. The suspect accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk, meanwhile, appeared at a court hearing virtually yesterday. His defense attorney deciding that they will seek a preliminary hearing, Katie. Kirk's tragic death, of course, sparked a nationwide revival in the Christian faith. But yet another gunman opened fire at a Michigan Latter-day Saints church Sunday, set the church on fire. As you know, 4 people were killed, 8 people were injured. This violence is so disturbing. Your reaction?
There is an incredible rise of violence in our country, especially by the left. You see the numbers are rising among left-wing terrorists. And that's what we're seeing in our country, is this name-calling, such that by Gavin Newsom, is incredibly dangerous because it is inspiring future assassins to come after people on the right. It started with President Trump, as you mentioned, in Butler, Pennsylvania. It continued with the attempt on the golf course in Palm Beach. And now we see our dear friend Charlie Kirk be murdered in cold blood when he was just speaking on a college campus. When you condone these attacks on free speech for too long, right? When Charlie was just going from campus to campus and conservatives go to college campuses to speak, why do they have to have intense security? It is because these college campuses have allowed it for too long. Why is only one type of speech accepted in our country and not both types? When these colleges needed to start cracking down by excusing people and removing them from campus, that is what should have happened, and that's what I hope President Trump will continue to do by cracking down on this left-wing terror and Antifa that has raged across our country. It's what we're seeing him do in Portland by expanding the military force there and ensuring that Antifa does not continue to wreak havoc on our ICE facilities and federal buildings in Portland, Oregon.
And you also had to deal with graffiti on your property, right?
It's way worse than just graffiti, Maria, but I can tell you that Stephen and I remain committed to speaking on behalf of the American people, fighting for the American people, and no left-wing terror will keep us from doing that. But let me be clear, Maria, it is way worse than just graffiti, and I can tell you that Stephen and I remain steadfast in our commitment to the American people.
What happened exactly? And you were referring to your husband, Stephen Miller, a key official in the Trump administration.
Yeah, Maria, just hours after Charlie Kirk was murdered, I would call them a left-wing group, are passing out flyers in my neighborhood, harassing me at my home, saying, here's where Stephen Miller lives, here's where his children live, here are photos of his children. He is a Nazi. He is I will continue down the list, but you can assume that all it is a call to murder Stephen at our home where my children live. It was not safe for my children to play in our front yard anymore, or my husband to take our kids on a walk in a stroller. And that should not be the case in our country, where you cannot just safely play with your children just because of your political beliefs. People should feel free to have and espouse their political beliefs across our country, whether that be from the Democrat side of the aisle or the Republican side of the aisle, without fear of being murdered. And as I said before, I hope to see that Charlie Kirk is the last person murdered for their political beliefs in our country, because no more children should we have to raise without fathers just because of what you believe.
Katie, I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. That is just awful. We're praying for you and Stephen, and thanks for your leadership. We'll be listening to your podcast. I know you're doing a lot on AI as well. We'll tune in. Katie Miller, thank you so much.